Okay, guys, welcome to this class. I'm just waiting for people to join us before we get started. Okay, so once we hit 10 people now, we're going to get started. Okay, guys, welcome to this class. I'm just waiting for people to join us before we get started. Okay, so once we hit 10 people now, so I'm just waiting for more people to join. So I'm just waiting for more people to join before we start. So I just wait for more people. So as soon as they join, we'll get started. Okay. Okay, I just waiting for more viewers before we start. Um, Hello. So we're just waiting for like 5 more people to join now. Then once they join, we'll start. Can everyone hear me now? Oh shit. Okay. Please give me a second. I'm hoping everyone can hear me. Where is this stuff coming? Okay. Why is this thing? Hello? Okay. Should be fine now. Can everybody hear me now clearly? If you can hear me, just say hello or just drop a I in the chat section. Okay. Awesome. So let me just go over everything. So I said that we are going to discuss prototyping today, but before we discuss prototyping, I want to go over the corrections around wireframing. Okay, so that's basically what I want to do first before we now even go into like prototyping, what it is about and what it stands for. So now this is literally just a correction for wireframe, the wireframing class that people submitted the assignment. So I just wanted to like a overall correction for everybody, right? So they understand. So I'm just going to start again. So I'm going to hit F on my keyboard. So this was what was given to us for the assignment. Please give me a second. So this was what was given to us in our assignment, and then in our assignment. So in order to recreate this in terms of wireframe, if I hit F on my keyboard, it should give me all of this. So now that it has showed me all of this, I just need to come over to iPhone 14 and 15 Pro. So depending on like when you start working within a team, so they will always have like a an actual what's the word now? They will always have like an actual screen size they usually work with. Okay, so for their base design, and then or for the developers to easily understand what you're actually looking for. So over the years, I usually use this 375 by 812. However, what made me change to 393 to 852 is because of the partnership between Apple iOS, because I'm using iOS design now. The partnership between Apple iOS and Figma, right? So all their components used to come in these sizes. So in order to make things easier for myself, instead of having to like rearrange or reduce or resize, I started using just normal industry standard according to them. Okay, so now the first thing first is in order to make like a structural layout, what you always want to do first is that notice that you have like this space here and this space here. That means you always want to set your what, your margin. So I'm going to come over to grid, click on columns, and then make my count 4, right? Not really necessary, but you see why I'm adding it. Then gutter is literally the space between here. So for now, let's just leave it at 16, and then our margin 16 pixels. So like I said, margin is this one here and this one here. So we usually have left and right margin. And notice my type is on stretch because I get a lot of questions around, oh, I'm not able to get it. Yes, because of your type may be wrong. Because you may probably be using left. This is what left looks like. This is what right looks like. This is what center looks like, and then this is what straight look like. So this I'm using stretch is that I don't want to guess the number that will make it up like this. That's why I use stretch. Okay. So and once you set it to like any of this side, now notice you only have like an offset, you don't have a margin. Okay. So that is literally the way it works. So same thing for this one. So you can increase your offset or reduce depending on what you're looking for. But in this case, you're just going to use stretch and set it to 16 pixels like this. Okay. And then for your margin, we set this one to also 16 pixels. So I'm going to hit F on my keyboard again just to create a frame like this. Okay. Then I'm going to add, just press E on my keyboard once and then press enter. It gives me the full color. So for me to achieve this circle, right, I have to make this one 44. Do you understand? So it's equivalent of a square, and then you can round the corners, so somewhere around there. All right. So once you have this now, because this is a system component. So what I mean by system component is like it is native to iPhone, right? It's also native to Android in the sense that there's always a time and the network. So we really usually don't bother with that because like you're just like you're wasting time. What you should more bother about is like what is the main content in your interface. So I'm going to skip that, okay? But I always leave like 48 pixel spacing, right, for that kind of component. So but when you start using like the main kit UI, it's I think it's a little just slightly bigger than that. Okay. So next is I'm going to add this one here and drag it all the way. All right, and then I will duplicate it. You can see for this two, I'll duplicate it like this. Okay. So now I'm pressing Alt. If you are using a Windows, it's Alt. If you are using a Mac, it's a if you are using Mac, then it's called options. So I'm trying to check the space. So yeah, now we usually have spacing guidelines, and then the most popular spacing that guideline are 2 point and 4 point grid. Some even use up to 8 or 16 point grid system. So but I usually like start with 4 point grid. So what we mean by 4 point grid is that it just incremental, like it's growing. The next space after what you are using right now is going to be a multiple of that. So what that means is like if you are using 4 the first time, the second spacing you likely use will be like around 8, or the second size of an element will be around 8, right? If you are using 8, the next sizing after that will probably be around 16, and then the next one after 16 will now be around 32. So it's increasing like that. So and it can still increase to from 16 to 20, 20 to 24, 24 to 28, 28 to 32, 32, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the way our space work. For in this case, I'm just going to use 8 for now. Then what I want to do is I want to adjust this so it's I just have 8 here, and on this side too. So this is 11, so I'm just going to add a couple, 5, so to give me so I can literally select everything like so, and then make it so you can see this is 7. All right, let me first try and tidy things up very quickly. So yeah, this 3 dots distributes horizontal spacing. Okay, so everything is now well balanced. Okay, so now that that is done, so I can make this one 8 like this. Okay, so now that I've made it 8, all I just need to do is that I need to adjust this one to maybe 206. Then we should be fine. Yeah, yeah, 206. Okay, so we have this as 44 by 44, and then this has reduced to 205. So if we check the spacing now, okay, so this is 9. So let's quickly just tidy things up again. It has to be all 8s. Yeah, so now everything is looking more balanced. But the fastest way to get this done, or getting this done, is literally just select everything like so. Then you want to press Shift A, or you right click, and you can see where you have add auto layout. So what auto layout is that it just groups them together and calculates the spacing automatically. Okay, so I usually use this to speed my design process, or speed up my design process basically. So now the next step is to add this section here. Okay, but notice that in the background there's like a huge kind of image, right? So I can add a frame. So if you notice, it's probably like around 60% of the screen as opposed to this other part. So what I'm going to do instead is, and this is one other reason why I like Figma, is that I can literally say, okay, so I have this full screen at 852, so I'll copy and paste that here, right? Like so, like so. And then the next thing is the width is 393. Then afterwards, I can literally now divide it by 1.5. Now divide it by 1.5 like this to get what we have here. So again, you always want to make sure there's contrast, right, between your elements. So what I'm going to do is I can add this color here, but this time I can even still make this one slightly lighter, something like around 95. Okay, so if I take this and send it to back like so, you cannot really tell the difference yet. However, instead of having this one we can still reduce this to like somewhere around 85. Okay, now everything is now visible. Okay, so now that everything is visible, you have your elements here and you have your free space here. We can go on to start adding the other items. So remember when I said that you could actually still use these same shapes to just do your other design. So this one now for my text, probably like 16 pixels, right? So for this main top here, so I can make it like 12. And then for the secondary element, which is the number, I can make this one 44 like this. And then for the third element now, which is the account, right? So I can still have this one like this. But again, just so that you're able to show the difference. So something around here like this. So I have this at 118, so I can drop it to like 100. Okay, and then make sure that everything is in the center like this. So again, I can press Shift A on my keyboard and come to center everything nice and neat. Okay, so once you have that done, the next steps now is to add all of these four icons. So literally this, right? So we're bringing this here, and remember you always have this text, right? So we can use this with this. Okay, so I'm going to bring this one here and bring this one here. So you can see it's so easy to do. So, and the idea is that it's just to help you get your ideas out there as fast as possible. So I'm going to duplicate it 4 times. Then now I can select all of these four, press Shift on my keyboard, and then for these elements here now, okay, I want to make sure that it's set to fill container. So if you want to learn more about auto layout and how to advance, you can join um our safe place class that will be coming up shortly. So you can ask the community leader about it, or you can drop a text. Okay, so you can know when that comes out. So now that we have that, we're going to set this to fill container again. So you have this all of these elements here, and then we can literally paste everything in the center like so. So then again, notice that this is literally in the center of this from here to here, right? So what I can do is I'm going to hold Shift and select the other elements here. But if I when I select the background, because this now is inside this one here. So if you look at it, we have this frame 6, and then you can see that this is frame 7, which is literally inside here. You don't need to hold shift again. What you can simply do, you can just select it and just come here for position and position things nice and neat. Okay, now the next section now is to add these two elements. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this literally. Then again, notice that you want to show like a sign of um elevation, right? But and you can say that this is like not pure white. Okay, so what we can simply do that we are going to leave it at pure white in this case, and then we just want to use this one to show like sign of elevation, right? So I'm just going to add this one like this. So this time around now I can take this one just slightly up, bring this one somewhere around here. Then I want to adjust this to 20, then increase this to 80. Yeah, like so. So and then this one now is going to be double of it. Okay, so again, remember when I was telling you that, so if you remember, we have this at 13, so an increment will be 12. That's 4 in 3 places. And then for this one, we have this at 5. This will be 4, right? Then if between this one and this one, and this is 37, so we want to make that a multiple of 4, so we are going to make 36. Okay, then this with this now is going to be 10. Hello Kevin, I can see you said hello. So this will be 10. um so for this one I'm going to make it 12, like so, or even increase it again, as long as it's divisible by 4. All right, then I'll add this all the way like this, so somewhere around there. So this is 112, so can literally do 80 plus 80 is going to give us 160, or you can multiply by 2 like this. Okay, but that's not what we're aiming for, so we could literally do the same. Divided by 1.5 should give us somewhere around 106. So I can round it off to the nearest element that is divisible by 4. So 108. Give me a second. So 108 divided by 4 is going to give you 27. Okay, so we have that. Then now the next thing now is to add this navigation bar section. So the same way, because I already have this already and it literally looks like the same thing, I can just duplicate it one more time and then add one more to this. The only difference now is that I'm going to shrink this down because this is too big, from 44 to 16. So I notice I'm clipping it. The reason I'm clipping is that whatever happens here will be affected by this one. Whatever happens here will be affected by this one. So if I change it to 16, you can see everything now gets smaller. All right. So this time around now, again, make sure it's set to fit container like so. Then this time around, I'm going to increase the spacing, because if you notice the spacing here is very huge. Okay, so I can say like around 8, 12, 16. Yeah, that seems like a good number. Then obviously, like, I want to reduce the height of this to like around 8 or 4. Yeah, okay, so we have this here now. So now remember that it's already in an auto layout. So what I can simply do is I can add a fill background like this. You cannot tell the difference here until I add a stroke. Then I want to make sure my stroke is set to the top like this. Then I want to make sure that it's set to 375 no 393, which is the width. Then I want to make sure that the position is stacked to the left like this. Then I want to set the top, a spacing at the top, which is what we call padding. All right, so this is going to be 20, so it's going to be spacing at the top, at the bottom, and at the bottom. So you can see like this arrow on top, this arrow on the bottom. That is literally what it means. So I press enter. So once I press enter now, I can use this to line things up clean neatly. So I'm using this color predominantly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a more subtle color. So this F2, 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 I don't think it's going to really show. Yeah, so let's just change it to this one. yeah, so this is how you can get your wireframe done nice and clean. So yeah, the only thing that just left for me to add is the same margin earlier. So this one, if you notice, all of this element kind of rhymes here, right? So I'll probably make this one 32 so that now you can see it, all of the edge rhymes on both sides. So this is how you can do your layout very quickly in wireframe style. So now, remember I told you that wireframe can be very funny. So the way I usually start my wireframe, usually on paper sketch, just something very quick and scribble. So this is literally when I usually want to like walk around, oh, what exactly should the layout look like? All right. So that is when I used to use what's it called now? That is when I used to use this kind of style to be sure of what I want the layout to look exactly like. But if I'm just sketching out the basic layout that, oh, this element is going to be and all of that, I usually do that on a piece of paper just to quickly get out the idea there. All right. Sometimes I also use it to like test with users to see how they like it. So we come to the end of the first session, and now we are going to go into the next section, which is prototyping. Okay. So now prototyping is literally at the stage where you've done your research. Based off the research, you know your now you know your target audience, and because you know your target audience, you've literally understood what exactly their needs are. All right. And now that you've understood what exactly their needs are, give me a second. Now you've understood what their needs are, you now know exactly the kind of problem you're trying to solve for. All right. And in the course of trying to know exactly what you're trying to solve for, you have enough evidence of knowing why what they need is actually a real pain point, because many people just gonna say, this person has this particular problem, and you're like, no, I'm not really sure it's actually a problem to them. Do you understand? Because all of this is like relative. So but if you have enough evidence and to verify that yes, this is enough problem, then you now move to the um next step, which is how do you solve that particular need, or how do you provide a solution to that particular need. So when you get to that stage, now that is where you are probably sketching, right? You are thinking of, oh, what are the possible ideas that we can do that is going to make sense. So at this point, there's a bunch of stuffs that you can use to test whether what you are thinking of as possible solutions, right, is going to be the best one for the user at that moment. And underline at that moment, because user taste and behavior change because of environment, where the world is talking about, or the kind of technology that is in place. So because of that, and again, obviously, like competitive landscape and then change of government, so there's a lot of things that can make your users change, right? Or there's a lot of things that can make your solutions very obsolete. So you want to like, then again, you also need to like know yourself to see, oh, can I or can we actually be able to afford to do this project, or can we afford to do this solution? So once you have all of that in place now, then the next thing now is that you want to start testing with users, right? But before you test with users, you need to create an item that is a fleshed out kind of idea, so not a fully formed idea, right? You just want to like create something and give it to users and see how they play with it. Okay, that's why we usually have prototyping and testing go hand in hand. Okay, so now today we are going to be learning what prototyping is all about. Okay, and now prototyping is the process where you create a close to final product, right, or a mock-up that users can test with to see whether it actually provides a solution to what what problem they have, or what needs that they want. Okay, so now
or what item that they will need. Okay, so in this case here now, let's say we want to prototype. um we let's say we did a research. We found out that okay, a lot of people, a lot of market women or a lot of farmers markets are not, they don't have banks. What they usually deal with is with cash, and we want to create a system whereby they can easily sell product online, right? I want to do it on a large scale kind of business. Okay, so we have identified that yes, the problem they have is a remittance problem, meaning that when people are far away and they want something particular to their own store, right, or the store that they used to shop, but they don't have time, or they are not they are too busy to go to that particular place to take or to purchase that product. They cannot do that. They have to be physically there, right? So now you now think of, okay, one of the innovations is that we could actually make it easy for them to pay, right? And we have our dispatch rider to pick it up and send it over. So now if you look at it, that's a bunch of solutions that you have to look into and look at all the bunch of features. Okay, so now let's say now we just want to tackle the payment portion, right? And the way we are doing it is such that in order to establish trust, we want users to first deposit money into our account first, and then after they've deposited money into our account, they cannot go on to shop with the users. So I'm just going to use what we had, all right, to say, oh, we just want to create like a deposit process. I want to see whether users are going to like the idea of depositing on our platform, right? To see how whether depositing on our app is going to be very, very seamless. So what we can do is that once we have our clickable prototype like this, we could literally change this one now. So we could take it a step further. And this is where, when you are having these conversions, like you are moving from your paper sketch, so that is like low fidelity, right? When you get to the system and you create like a layout like this, a layout design that you already like and you enjoy. So let's say now you have this now and you say, okay, you like this design, everything. You can say, based off of this layout, you have it as probably like it's still a low fidelity, right? And then but this low fidelity now, users cannot play with this. They will not even know what exactly is going on here, right? So now you want to now do the second one. So there's somebody that came up with a name for it. He called it type framing, whereby you are using realistic elements, but everything is literally still in black and white. You've not added any color to it, just to see whether users are going to like it. Okay, so that's what we are going to do next. So I'm just literally going to duplicate this, right, and start adding things. So let's just say a user is AD. So I'm going to scale it down by pressing K like this. Then I can place it inside this frame here. Make sure it's fully centered like so. Okay, so I'm going to close this out. So I'm going to make this training. So if for those of us that are following, I'm just using enter and I'm going to make this one bold. Okay, so now the next step now is, if you look at this point here, we have this icon and search, right? So just to make things very fast, I'm going to be using lucid icons. Okay, so and if you want to have access to it, all you just need to do is come over to actions, as I'm using a shortcut, and then here you have plugins. You have plugins, and there are so many plugins that you can find. Okay, but you'd have to literally search for them, or you come over to plugins and widgets, and you can see there's a lot of plugins, but mostly you literally have to like search for the plugins, all right, before you be able to have access to them, because like there's a whole lot of plugins. Okay, so the next one now is to add search here. So I'm going to make this search, all right. Then I can add a search icon and paste it here. Now remember that we are using a frame, right? So all I just need to come over here and I have access to the auto layout again. Okay, so and once you have access to the auto layout, what it does is that it closes up the element because it hugs it. So if you check it, it's saying what? Hug content, right? So for me to just open things up, I'm going to go to the parent, which is this frame 5. So let's just call it header, right? So we can identify it easily. I'm going to press Shift G So the essence of pressing Shift G is to hide or show my grid, because I don't like coming over here, now. So I have to come and click on this first and then turn this one off to see what exactly I'm doing. I'm pressing this. And now once you turn it off manually there, no matter how you use Shift G, it's not going to work on this frame. Can you see the difference? So you can see. So but once this one is turned back when you use Shift J, so it's like a way of like quickly hiding your grid. Okay. So now the next step now is I'm going to press Shift G here, drag it all the way, then make sure that this one now, because I know that it's supposed to like fill the entire container, because all of this one have the same sizes, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to change this one to fill container. Then for this one, I'm going to make it 12 8. Okay, like this. Then remember we have this at 21. So first thing first is I can reduce this one to 4, right? Because of we are trying to stick with our 4-point grid system. Okay. Then this size is too big, so I'll probably reduce like 16. Okay. And then the icon for me seems too big. Yeah, okay, 24 is fine. So let's just press Shift G to hide that. So with that now being said, we have this already. Okay. So then the next thing is, this is a problem here. Why do I say it's a problem? Because it's what we call contrast issue. Okay, where users may not clearly see what exactly is going on. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to just stick with like simple colors. We don't want too many colors when we are designing. So if I click on this, if I click outside and I click on this entire container, you can only see your selection color. So notice that so far so good, I've not gone beyond using 4 colors. So the less colors that you use, the better for you. Even there's one design I'm working on right now. Okay, there's one design I'm working on right now. If you look at this now, look at the number of colors I'm using, and I have like 22 colors here. But like, why is showing 22 colors? Because I'm using colors from other elements. But by the time I'm done, everything will be like this, and everything has like its own specific name. So as simple, as straightforward as that. Then the next thing now is that to add these other icons, so it may not, I may not find the icon one to one, but I'll just find something close. So we've got this at charts. Yeah, so chart, where do you go? Okay. uh Thank you, Joseph Mayowa. Then the next one is card. For some reason I can't seem to find it. Okay, so I'm just going to center it so that it's visible. Yeah, so we have that there. Okay, so with this one now, the next one is here. Now we have this main, so I'm going to put it there. So just here like this, so it's going to be main. Then this time around, I'm just going to change this one to auto layer like this. Okay, and then this main now, as your, let's say you have like multiple accounts now. Okay, so let's say or let's say it's a it is in multiple currencies, because like maybe some farmers may like prefer a different currency over another, right? So we could say USD. Okay, and then they have like obviously like the actual amount. Okay, so sorry, not you not a different account. Like let's say they are using the same currency, but what is different is what's it called now? What's different is like the account number balance. So probably like say 8892, right? So then for here now, you just want to have like your account balance. All right, so add this one here. So let's make this one 24 and make this bold. Use this as a auto layout. All right, then the next thing now is I can even still increase. I think 32 will do justice. Right, so remember I'm sticking to my 4-point grid. So that's why, like, you doing UI design is easy until it becomes very very hard. Okay, so I'm just using this app as a reference. Okay, so that it's easy for everybody to follow along. Okay, because I don't want to do anything from scratch, so I don't get to lose people. So but like I'm just giving an idea, like if we're going to use this type of um design your page again. So here again I'm going to use the same color here. So I have this at 16. So now again, another tip here is that you can literally copy a style. and paste it on another one so that it absorbs it. So, but the way it works is you have to press Control Alternate C for people that are using Windows, and for people that are using Mac, you have to press Command Option C. So once you do that, or you can literally just right click, you see this copy slash paste as, and then come over to what? Copy properties. Okay, you can see it. So I'm using a MacBook, that is why it's showing Option Command C. But if you're using a Windows, you'll be Windows Command. I'm sorry, uh, alternate plus uh Control plus C. Okay, so now for this one, I'm going to select this and then do the same thing. The only thing is that instead of pressing V and instead of pressing C, I'm going to press V. Okay, we have that. So I'm going to set this one to an auto layout, but remember that this is 44. Okay, so another tip is that when you're designing buttons, right, the lowest height you should go on mobile is 40. On desktop, the lowest height you can do, I think, is around 28. Because look at my cursor size now, right? If this was a button, even if this was a button like this, and I say 28, so it's 28 is something like this. Okay, if this was a button, can you see that my cursor can fit in into it? But let's say this was your button now. Now fitting into it is a problem, right? So that's why, like, it's very very, you have to make sure that you want to do something that people can easily click on, right? That's why we call it touch points. Okay, so for your thumb, it will be difficult for your thumb to have this, and then you know that people have different hand sizes, right? Some people's hand sizes are so big that they literally cover the phone. Think of Shaq O'Neal, the basketballer. Like, if that guy should stretch his hand and cover he will cover my entire head. So that kind of person, you're not giving the person like a 20 px button. It's going to be very very difficult for him to work with. So that's why one rule of thumb is like the lowest your button should go is 40, and then your button can go to a bigger most size, right? I've seen for mobile games, I usually see something around like 60 to 85, right? For mobile games, depending on what they're trying to do. But like, let's make sure that our button is not less than 40 in height. Okay, for the width, just make sure that it like captures at least minimum of 44 pixels by 44 pixels, right? Or 40 by 40, right? And then it can grow on from there. Okay, so now we have this one here. Okay, so let's just call this one top up. So let's say now we want the users to just focus on the top up um um flow. I just want them to just do that already. Okay, so that is what we are going to do next. So I'm going to copy this one now, right? So we've established that this will now be what. So remember I said that when you take the design to this level, is still at what? Low fidelity. Just that there are two types of low fidelity. There's a low fidelity sketch which you do on your paper, and then there's the low fidelity wireframe. So the sketch is still a wireframe, but the difference is that one is on paper and the one is inside your design tool, invariably for me Figma, right? And then, but the problem is that you cannot test this one with users. They won't understand what is going on. So you want to show them what you can test with users. So you can have something like this, okay, and then still have all the other things moving on, just to make sure that, oh yeah, so they are there with you. All right, so now with this one now, here now I can say, okay, we have so I'm just going to literally just copy this one, bring it over here like so, and then say we have this one called add money. All right, and if you look at it, this is set to 16, so this one I can drop it to 14, right, or 12. Then I can center it like this. Okay, then copy, do the same here, do the same here, and here, like so. Okay, so here now we have add money. The next one is exchange. Okay, make sure it's centered. The next one again is details, centered. And then the last but not the least is more, like this. Okay, so now that you have this, now I'm just going to ignore this one. So the reason why we are doing all of this is that we want to make sure that the users know that, oh, this is exactly where it needs to be done. Okay, so and then one thing we usually do is that when we are doing say usability testing, that sometimes we may do two types of design and send it to them. Let's say we don't like this layout now, or let's say we take this top up button and put it in this place. Okay, we want to see their reaction towards that. Do you understand? But the thing is that based on the how we test them, it will even begin to teach us whether we need to rearrange our buttons, right? Based on the business requirements as well as the user needs. Okay, so you need to like find, you always figure out like a way to like merge all of these things together. So if you are coming as a product designer, okay, that will literally be your work to match user needs with what's it called now, with business requirement. But if you are coming from the perspective of the user experience designer, you need to optimize the interface to such that it will be almost no level to have to think at all about how the user should do this or that. Like when the user just comes, they should just be able to know what to do exactly, right? But that is not the case sometimes, because obviously when you are new to something, you always have to learn about it, even though it takes like maybe a second, two, three, right? Before um before it comes to place. Okay, so that's that about that. So now moving on, we have this now. So I'm going to copy this to the prototype session. So we've established that this prototype now, yeah, it's the mid fidelity. So let's say we want to just do a flow here. So what I'm going to do is, so let's say they want to top up now, right? So I can duplicate this very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to permit me here, I'm going to cheat a little. The reason I say I'm going to cheat a little is that I'm going to introduce this. So, you know, in this point here now, let's say, so they want to introduce adding their what's it called now? Uh the amount they want to use to top up, right? So the way we usually do it is somewhere like this. So something like this. So this will be um continue. Stay with me. Okay. And then for this one here now will be our digits. So I'm just going to delete all of this one here because it's not necessary. Yeah. So like so, okay. So the next thing is now this is gonna be supposed to be for an advanced class, but let me just add it here. So you can also wrap. So the reason we wrap is because of this. Um, once you've established the amount of which you're supposed to have in your design, then you can always wrap. Okay, so this one is supposed to be 83. So I'm gonna make all of this one fixed like so, and then this one to fix like so. So now this is where it gets interesting. So if I'm select this one and start pushing, like you can see everything is wrapping in place. Okay, so this is how we do interesting stuff like this. Okay, one more. Okay, so once we have this now, what we can simply do is we can just make sure we close it up somewhere around here, right? And then let's just scale it up, so somewhere around here, and then make sure we have like enough spacing, again 16 and 16. Okay, so I'm just going to open this one up just slightly till we get to where we need to get to. Okay, so now I don't need, I literally don't need this one. Oh no, I want to change the color of the background totally. So what I can do is I can use the color of this background here. Then, so if you notice, when I drag this one out now, it's taking the entire screen together, right? And I don't want that. So what I can simply do is I can ungroup it. Okay, just like the way you ungroup, or you right click and ungroup like this. Okay, you can do that with a shortcut using control and backslash, okay, on your Windows, but I use command and delete on my own. Okay, so I have this now. So now that I have this now, the thing is, like, sometimes your grid may not work the way you plan. So what I usually do is I'll put each of my elements like in their own separate auto layout, and then the overall grid now I'll remove it such that now I can have these three. Okay, and because what I want to do is I want to increase the spacing between them. All right, if you are using that grid version, it should, you have to have the same height and width. So that's like one thing I know that people used to have problem with. So now our digit will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and obviously we will need 0, right? So I'll duplicate it one more. So I don't need this and this, right? Because nobody press hashtag. in this thing. So for this last one, I'm just going to make sure it's center like this. Okay, and then make this one 0. All right. So now what I can do is, this is 55, which is not what I want. So I want it around 48. Remember, we are using our 4-point grid. And for each and every one of them, you want to make sure it's in an auto layout. So this is where like the manual process kind of comes in place. But don't worry, we'll fix it. Yeah, so I guess that is it, right? So remember, we're using 44. This time we can increase to like 48 for everything. So 48, 48. Peter, I'm in the class, okay, go. So we can have this at 48. Um where is it? Where do you go? Yeah, 48 by 48. Okay. And just to be fast, so there's also a feature in Figma where you have this little icon, right? It's called select matching area. So I can literally just click on it. So if all of them are behind the same name, it usually works. But if they are not behind the same name, it's not going to work. So I'm just going to select this. So if you come to the advanced class, that's when the advanced Figma class, that's when we talk about like components and all of those things. Okay, so this one now we're going to do 48 by 48. So the reason we use components is just to make sure that instead of me doing all of these things manually, I can only do it once, and then every other thing is just going to change easily. So now that we have this, everything now 48 by 48, and then you have this. Okay, I know some of us are seeing a design like this. I know it's looking familiar already. Then we have this, and then once you have that, right, so you can say, yeah, now you can now say add money or deposit money, whatever, whichever one is easy for the users, when your user class, right? So let's say since they are your customers, right, probably say around 5 pixels. So again, let's make this one 44 pixels. Okay, or even you can even make this one 48 like this. Okay, so they can add money. All right, and then the last but not the least is they can also choose to cancel. But the thing is, as a product designer now, you always want to make sure that, oh, you don't want them to cancel by mistake easily. Okay, so that's where we can now introduce maybe like something like X, but it's not fully visible compared to like add money. All right, so these are the things that or tips and tricks that we also do in design, though sometimes it's regarded to as bad pattern, but uh it depending on who you are serving, whether you are serving your boss or you are serving your users, you will pick one. So on a lighter note here, if you are serving your users without the knowledge of your boss, just know that your chance of getting fired is very high. That's on a lighter note. So you have this here, right? So now with this point now, then once you are done with this one, the next session, you know, let's say just say uh for now we'll just say um you have successfully paid sorry, your account has been updated successfully. Okay, so something like this, your account has been updated successfully. Let's enter that. All right, so again, the thing is, when you are trying to prototype, you don't want to add unnecessary stuff in your what's it called now, in your design. Okay, so you have this one here, and then you have your money here. Okay, let's put your money here. So now there's this. So now to prototype, now it's very simple to prototype. Let's say I want to switch between this page to this page in Figma, right? So prototype also means bringing your app to come alive. So once I click on this here, now I'm going to come to prototype. Can you see the button here? So I'm going to come over here, and you can see that immediately I come over here, now it's showing plus. But if I switch back to design, no more plus. So that's that about that. So I'm going to come over here and now switch over to this point like this. So now that I've switched over to this point here, what I can now simply do is that when I click on this is called trigger, and we have action. Action is where what do you want to happen when you click on this one. So that's what we call action. And then your action is going to determine your destination. So your destination is where do you want to show next? Okay, and then you have your animation, and then the last but not the least is the state. So the state we are not going to cover in the course of this program. If you join the advanced class, you get all of those information there. So now for here, in the state we are going to use, so the only one we are going to experimenting with today is navigate, open, and swap. Every other one will be for the advanced class. Okay, so now we have this one as navigate to. So navigate to means we want to go to another page, right? So and then the destination now is this thing. So let's just say this is a pay section, right? So if I click on this line again and I come over here, can you see that the destination has changed name? Okay, and then now when I click on this one, I can also say I want the it to go here, and then on click again, I want it to be what? For now, let's first not talk about animation. Let's just look at, let's just leave it at instant. Okay, so now I can come over here. So now remember that when I was adding all of these things, this thing did not show. So if I go back again to design, can you see it? So we have here, so when your flow starting for, so this flow one is literally saying, oh, this is the starting point of this prototype. So if I click on this play here now, all right, so it's going to look like this, but let's use the actual phone design, right? So just to see how it's going to feel. Okay, so what we can go on to do is we can click outside, make sure you come, don't make sure you're not clicking anything, right, so that you'll be able to get access to this. So with this now, you can now have your device. So I know that I'm using iPhone 16 Pro, no, iPhone 16, like this. Then I can now switch to using this. Okay, so based off of this, I can press play and I have this. Can you see it? In fact, if I don't like the case of the phone, I can change it here to pink, teal, ultramarine, and black. Okay, so let's stick with black. So now that we have this now, do you see it? So if I click on top up, do you see it? It changes. If I click on add money, do you see it changes? Okay, so if in our advanced class now, I'm going to like be teaching us a conditional whereby you don't need to create multiple screen to do conditional. Say for example now, if the person did not put any money and they click on add money, there's supposed to be an error to say, oh sorry, you've not yet added any money. Okay, so now based off of that now, but because it's not the advanced class, because it's a little bit there's a lot of things that you need to first learn before you even get to that level. um so let's just keep that for now, but I'm just saying that there's a possibility. So let's just say when they come here, I want to do something immediately, is that this point here now, so I can tap, just pay attention now, I can tap this one here. Okay, and this will be on tap now. Can you see it? It's going to be what? $1. All right, but just imagine like all the possibilities that you can do with this. Okay, so now if I go back now, so if I select this one again, notice that it changes quickly. So that's why I always like having this preview when I'm designing my prototype. So and again, another thing about prototypes that used to confuse me initially was the fact that sometimes I'll be looking for where the prototype is. So later now I realize that what Figma did was that if you don't know which of the buttons is clickable, or if your user does not know which of the buttons is clickable, right, you always want to guide them, but you're not telling you exactly what to do. So the guide can be, please, we want you to be able to top up $1 on your account, right, and then you give them the phone. Do you understand? So now they will now say, okay, and then you always want to make sure that you are listening to them and you're also reviewing, you are looking at what they are doing. Okay, so if they are doing, like if you are doing it through Zoom, what you can usually do is that you tell them to first share their screen and then you give them that goal that they should achieve. Please top up $1 on this account. Okay, so now when they say, okay, we want to top up $1 on this account, you now watch them to see how many times they were making mistakes. So you have to be noting it down. So if they say, I see add money here, I see top up here, right, you notice that already the user will be confused that which one is add money, which one is top up money. But they will say, I see top up, right, it's very close to me, so I'm going to click on it, right, and then I want to add $1, so I'm going to click on one, and you can see it changes, right, and then now I can click on what, add money. Your account has been um let me change this. Your account has been funded successfully, right? And then we want to have a button say go home, right? So again, when you say go home, I'm going to click on this one and drag it all the way to the first one. Do you see it? Again, on tap, do you see navigation, and then you can go home. Okay, very straightforward. All right, so now let's just say that we want to make the animation more fancy. Instead of everything jumping jumping jumping, we want to make it look more fancy and more interesting. That is where we now start to use open overlay, close overlay, swap overlay, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to do that, and then we are going to call the class a close, because we are now at the end of the class. So, and then we'll give you like an assignment for what to do next. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this like this here. All right, then duplicate this again like so. Okay, so however, what I'm going to do instead is that with having this now, first thing first is I'm going to close this one just slightly, and then round the top corners. So since I'm designing for iOS, I always use this first before I start rounding anything. Okay, so 24 by 24 like this. Okay, so now that I've rounded these corners, I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to copy this and paste just one more time like this. Just stay with me. Okay, let me still reduce it a little bit more. Yeah, copy, replace. Okay, so because I want to introduce us to like simple kind of animation, so I'm going to copy this and bring it inside here now. Paste this in. Okay, then I'll press shift and arrow down just to move it out of the view. So the reason is because Figma will, there's no way Figma will know that you want something to animate neatly, nicely and clean into the page without doing this. That's why we are doing it like this. Okay, so sometimes I know it's a little bit messy, but that's the way Figma works. So we now have this second section here now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to prototype. Now let me first detach everything that is connected to this one here first. Okay, so now that I have this here now, I'm going to come over here, click on top up, select this one and drag to this point. But this time around now, all right, instead of on tap, instead of instant, I'm going to change it. I'll change it to smart animate. So we have three types. We have dissolve, we have smart animate. So let's try dissolve first so you can see it. So with dissolve now, if I click on top up, this is what happens. It just jump out of the screen, right? Now if I click on smart animate, okay, see what happens when I come back here. Select this one again, right, and I click on top up. You see it, you see that there's the kind of like movement that is going on, but however it's not looking very neat or clean. So let's make it smooth. So that is where we now make use of what we call, so your action. So remember I said your this action is going to take you to a different page, but we want to still stay on the first home page. We don't want to take our users away from there at all. So what we can simply do is, instead of saying navigate to, we now say what? Open overlay. It's just like the same thing as opening a modal. Okay, so once I do that now and I click on this again and I click on top up, can you see it? Do you see it now? So now again, what I need to do is that you can see that it's staying in the middle, which I don't like. I was going to click on this tiny dot here and say don't put it in the center. You see now, this side there's action, under action there's overlay, that is where is the destination, and then now where is the position. So now I can go to what, bottom left. Okay, now sometimes you may not like where it's sitting. Okay, now you can now switch to like manual. So in manual now, you will now have to like manually adjust it by yourself. Okay, but in this case here, since I didn't know where it's going to stay, I'm going to do bottom left. Okay, so once I've done bottom left like this now, and I come over here and I click on top up, do you see it? So we cannot tell the difference now. So let me just change the color just slightly. Oh, you won't tell the difference now. Let me just adjust this. Yeah, just slightly. Okay. And then now when we click here again, so I'm using shift spacebar to bring this one back. Click on top of, do you see it? So now it's still not animating in view, but everything is now looking where it's supposed to be, right? What we can now do instead is have a smooth animation. So I'm going to come over here back to prototype so I can have access to this. Click on this again. All right, and you can see that my animation now is set to instant. So what I want to do here instead is what I can change it to what, to move in, because when you think about it, it's I already pushed it at the bottom here, so I want it to what, to move in. So I'm going to change this one to up like this. Okay, then we have our easing. So you can join our advanced class to learn about easing, because there are so many types of easing. Easing, ease out, linear, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is use linear. So linear, if you look at it, you can always see the way it's going to work. Okay, if I do ease out, do you see it? If I do easing back, do you see it? So if I do easing back and out, do you see the way it's shaking and all like that? So I'm going to use easing back and out for this case. So you can also like, we can also like explain the mathematical formula around all of this. Okay, but like I said, it's a beginner class. I don't want to give you like too much information overload. I just want to show that okay, this thing works and you can still do it without really fully understanding what's going on. So now if I click on pop-up now, do you see it now? Looks very nice and clean. So I can even make it slower. So how do I make it slower? By increasing the duration. So right now this is 300 milliseconds, right? I can increase it to 3 seconds. 3 seconds is 3000 milliseconds. Okay, and if I go back, click on the first one again, so it changes, and I click on this, set it to come slowly now. Do you see it? So so you can play with it as much as you like. So but I think an optimal version will be somewhere around 800 milliseconds to 300 milliseconds, so that range. If I click on top up now, so it's a little bit jumpy at the top. So what I can simply do is, instead of making it a little bit jumpy, what I can do is easing back. So I always use this guy just to see what I'm looking for. What about linear? Yeah, okay, good. So let's be a linear, and then now select this one again and click on top up. Oh, nice. So but now this time it's too slow, so let's change that to 400 milliseconds, and click on the first one again, then click on top up. Yeah, so you have this now. Okay, and then now the user can click on $1, but it's not working. I see that it's only add money that is working for now. So this one here is not supposed to work. So what, this is where we now say we want to do swap overlay. Okay, so with this point here, I'm going to remove this one away, but you see this point here now. Okay, I'm going to take this one to this place like so. All right, but now when I take it to this place, the same thing on tap. This time around we are swapping the overlay, and it has to be instant, so that users will not know the difference. Okay, so now if I come back here, click on the first one, click on top up, click on one. Oh, I need to change this one. Then maintain the same background color. What happened? So I'm trying to switch back. Uh, okay, good. So now that we have that, can come back over here, click on top up. We have this, click on one. You see, you can't tell the difference, and it's two different screens entirely. And then now the same thing again, you can even have now have this one here now. So from here now, from this next one here now, I can click on, when I add money, I want to now um um close the overlay, right? So if I click on close the overlay, it's just going to close it entirely. But instead of doing that, what I'm going to do instead is what, go back to navigate to, and then it navigates me to this other page. Okay, so now if you think about it clearly, it's going to look something like this. So select the first one, click on top up with one, add money, your account has been successful. Looks super clean. So you can experiment with this to create multiple kind of animations, and then give your users. So what you now do that, what we usually do is that you can now share, open it in presentation view, right? Copy the link like this, send it to your users, and then they can experiment with it. And then you just need to tell them that okay, either they should record their screen or you want to sit down with them and just understand how they are doing what they are doing. Okay, so that is that about um prototyping inside Figma. But now you already know what a clickable to prototype is. You know what a mid fidelity looks like. You know what a type frame is. Type frame and mid fidelity literally the same thing, right? um then you know what a low fidelity paper sketch and a low fidelity wireframe looks like. Okay, so and then now when you start adding colors to it, that's when we say we have a what, a high fidelity. Okay, so high fidelity can be of two types. So your first form of high fidelity will definitely be the one that has the column that is fully fleshed out. Okay, then the second variant is now the one that is actually written in code that's been delivered to users to start using. And depending on the kind of roadmap that you have as a for if you are working for a company now. So say companies can be like in their beta version, they can be like in their alpha version, and they are still testing with early users, right? And seeing how they interact with it, and then you can always like iterate very quickly before the real thing comes out. So that's why like prototyping comes hand in hand with what, testing. So if you have any question, you can leave it in the chat section or post it um in the community, and make sure that you tell your friends to join the community. We have many way much more interesting stuff to come. So sorry about earlier the microphone and all, just trying to get all the technical items in place. But thank you so much for coming to the call. Frima Dojo, thank you. Cheers for now.